Hey everybody, welcome to today's live on our card snow day. So we're gonna make this, oh, hang on, get it right to the camera. There we go. We're gonna work on this today and get this all done. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat and I can respond to you as I see them. So without further ado, I will switch over to my downward camera and we are going to get started. So in your pack, you will have both of these stamp and die sets. Mine are open because I've been using them. And you will also have, what else do we have in our pack? We have your instructions. And the instructions, a piece of white cardstock. You will have a piece of blue cardstock. And then you will have a piece of parchment paper with the trees on it. But we also included for you to try out to make another card. It comes in the same pack of parchment paper. It is wild grasses. So mine I've already cut in half. Everybody's kit will have them assembled together. You will also have some acetate. And you will also have a little package of these tiny little pom-poms. So just making sure I got my acetate, I do. And so the first thing that we are going to do, now I have cut my blue cardstock already. I usually like to cut all my cardstock before I start doing any assembly or anything on the card, because that way, once I'm done, I'm impatient and I like to get it all thrown together all at the same time. So if I have it all cut ahead of time, then I'm ready to rock and roll. Well, I also forgot, in your package too, you will have a small sheet of sticky specs. So when we get to this point, I will explain for those of you who are unfamiliar with sticky specs, but I will explain to you how they work. But that's not till a little bit later. So for the first little bit, we're going to start with your blue cardstock. And you are going to cut 2 pieces from your blue cardstock. And those 2 pieces are going to measure 4.5 inches by 4 7/8. So for anyone who's maybe not as familiar with your dimensions, I'm sure 5.5 is not an issue, but 4 7/8, that is going to be, oh, sorry, this one right here on your ruler. Can you see that? I'll bring it up closer. So there's your 5. It's going to be that notch right there. So that's your 4 7/8, just like that. And then your 5.5, like that. So once you have those 2 cut, we're going to score them. Now, the first time I made this card, I scored on the wrong side of. So what you want to do, your card in width is going to be the 5.5 inches. So you can see that. So what we're going to score is we want to score that length on the 5.5. So you're going to put it, hang on, sorry. What am I saying here? Yes, I had that lying in there. I don't know how I did that. I thought I had mismeasured that, but I have not. So we're going to score along that 5.5 inch length. So when you put your piece of cardstock in your scoring board, so I know, and this is what threw me off. We are scoring along when your measurement will be 4 7/8, but the length is going down the 5 1/2. So we are going to score at 4 1/4 inches. So across 4 1/4, and we're going to score that, and we're going to score that on both pieces of cardstock. It's double-sided color-wise, so there's no definition. 4 1/4. So now you have 2 cards, both pieces scored like this, and they will line up like that. So now you can put these off to the side. Now that we've done that, you won't need your scoreboard again. So you're finished with that. Next thing that you're going to do is you're going to take your half piece of parchment paper that looks like this. And what I did, so your width should be, you're going to cut it down to 5 3/8. So that is 1 notch short of right there, the longer one there. So 5 3/8 this way, and then cut it directly in half. So that's going to be, make it 4 1/8 inches. And then those are going to fit in here just perfectly like this once we get to that point. So now you're going to take your acetate pieces. Now I cut them in the width. So you'll find them in your package. Just put them on the blue so you can see them. Just be careful that you haven't dropped them or that they're not clinging to the inside of your bag. But you should have 2 skinnier ones and 3, I only have 2 here, but 3 of the wider ones in your package. I may have just given you, you may have just gotten full lengths and you can trim them down, but they should be the correct width. So you want to cut 3 of the wider ones into 3-inch lengths. And then you need 1 piece that is 1 inch. That's out of the 1/2 inch. And the other 1/2 inch, you're going to cut it to 3 1/2 inches. So you need a longer one for your owl and the narrow, and then you need the shorter narrow for your sign, and then your 3 wide ones you will use for the snow, the iceberg, and the 2 penguins, and the broom and the snowman get glued right to the front. So once you have those cut to your lengths, put them somewhere safe where you can find them once you're finished. Once we're ready to use them, I mean. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to progress with stamping our stamped images onto our white cardstock. Now I did cut mine down. That's up to you. If you want to do more while you're stamping, you go right ahead and do as many as you want onto your surface. Now what you're going to need is, that is the upper half of my snowman's body. And then you need the big round. That's going to be the bottom of his body. And then we need you can't really see that, that's the broom. We're gonna need that. Now, some of these you will need to die cut more than once. And then the rest of this, you can pick and choose what you want to use. Do you want to put a top hat on him? Do you want to put the earmuffs? There's a scarf. How did I decorate him? I did a scarf and a top hat. Now, I also decorated the front of my card and I put earmuffs on him. So I'm not going to decorate the front of my card. I will show you how to do the inking technique, but I'm not going to put those on today, but you can add those yourself. So I'm just going to cut one of everything out today. If you want to proceed and do yours, make sure you cut 2 of the snowman and 2 of the signs out. And then I'm going to cut the sled, the penguin, both penguins, sorry, and the iceberg, and the tree branch for our owl as well. So I've got one snowman set out. I think I'll put the top hat on here and a scarf because I liked how that looked. And our owl, we need him. Don't forget the arms for your snowman. And watch when you go to die cut those because they fall out really easy. And then we need the branch for the owl. And then out of my penguin set, I need both my penguins. I need the little sled. You can use real string or you can use the stamp string. I got to rearrange a little bit to get everything in here. Need to make room for my sign. Put the owl up there. My sign down there. Oh, and I need my iceberg too. I call him an iceberg. Ice floe, skating rink, whatever you want to call it. All right, I think he'll fit right in there. So this, I just cut my white cardstock in half, and I think everything is going to fit. Just remember, you still, after you stamp, you have to fit your die cut over top. But that looks good to me. So I've got everything on there now. I'm gonna set those onto my stamping platform. And I think I got them all that time. Now I'm going to use Lisa Horton's solid black ink. That is my favorite ink to use. It gives me the best coverage, and it doesn't matter what medium I decide I'm going to color with. I can use anything after the fact because you can use alcohol base or water base to color with this after. Get this all stamped down into place. See if I need a little bit more up in this area. There you go. Like I said, beautiful coverage with that. Now, I like to color before I cut. And I am going to today use alcohol markers. You can color them whatever color you would like to use. And what am I going to use? I'm going to use test out my colors here. That looks good. Use that. Handle. I always like to keep a piece of scrap paper off to the side just to test my colors. Before I start coloring everything in. Normally I would have most of the coloring done. It's been a bit of a hectic week and I ran out of time, so unfortunately you're going to have to watch me color, but I'm going to try and keep it short and sweet as much as I can. And I think I'll do a soft orangey color for his beak. And I usually, maybe a yellow. We'll do a yellow.
Do you want a hand coloring?
Sure. Emily has volunteered to do some coloring with me. Join the party, Emily.
Coloring can be relaxing, so.
It's true.
Perfect.
I like coloring. So your little pom-poms that are in your package, I'm going to use the alcohol markers, and if you put it down on a piece of paper and pick your alcohol marker that coordinates with, I'm going to do the pom-poms on the top of the hats, and you use the same color and they will take on the color. Now they aren't white, so it's not going to be an identical match, but it's going to be really, really close. And all you have to do, I'm going to use the brush end because it works. Just hold it on top and roll it around a little bit. And that's going to match the color. I'm flinging them over here at Emily. And you get the idea. So we're just going to color those in, and they will absorb a lot. So keep them off to the side and let them dry. You can glue those on once the card is completely finished. That's the best way to do it.
One thing to note while I'm doing this is just make sure you're not coloring the snow.
It's true. I do have this nice color. I used it on his hat, and it's a perfect color. What I did was I just colored the edge of this, because you know how when you look at the side of a cut piece of ice, you can kind of see that tealy blue, icy blue color through it. Just that edge. That's all you need. All right. And let's do a pink one here. So you can use your pom-poms for your color them with black, and use them for the buttons on your snowman. That works too. Looks really cute. Now I know I'm coloring them in, but that's just the pom-poms on the hats, but that's going to cover up any space. So when you put your pom-pom on, it's going to, if it doesn't cover the whole colored pom-pom, like the pom-pom stamped onto your character, it will just hide it. You won't see that blank space. So doing these does require a little bit of patience. Now we're gonna color our penguins in. So I hope everybody's ready for this lousy weather we're in store for today. Apparently it's going to be quite a wild day for weather. All right, a little bit of brown here. Almost there. Thanks, Emily.
You're welcome.
All right, Emily's a lifesaver. Okay, almost there, guys. There we go. And some yellow for the feet. One way. And their beaks. All right. Now we're going to die cut these out. Do this in 2 segments. So I like to use this fabulous Studio Light masking because it holds great and you don't get the tearing when you die cut with it. It can still lift a little wee bit off, but not very often does that happen. So do take care when you're tearing it off, but it's Emily's and mine. It's our favorite one to use. So it's our mainstay. Getting everything lined up here. The first couple of times I made this card, I lost the arms for my snowman like 3 times, and I had to keep doing them. It was a bit frustrating. So just beware, they're tiny little pieces that go flying everywhere when you take them off. Right. sign. So for the lettering on the sign, I just used a Sharpie and wrote, I think on the inside I wrote "Let It Snow," and on the outside of the card I did "Snow Day." So you can use and write whatever you would prefer on that for your sentiment. Alrighty, so there's one. Check, make sure they all cut. They did. Quickly get this one done. Oh, I missed my branch. I'll go back and do that in a minute. All right, so we have the ice flow. How many of you guys do that? You're die cutting a bunch of stuff like that and you pull it back out. Oh, never thought of coloring the pom-pom. Great idea. Yeah, I do it actually, Karen. I thought it was so cute and a great way just to add some dimension. Just a little bit of dimension. Now, you can also, just to add some dimension, instead of using the rope for the sled, the stamp, you could use just some embroidery floss or some twine, whatever you wanted. Just poke little holes in it and thread it through. Works great. And that just provides some more dimension to your characters, just changes it up a little bit. Almost there. It's the hardest part, lining everything up, making sure it won't move. You're very welcome. I like to try different things. You know what I'm going to do? Because I forgot this guy. I'm going to cut it out. And I'm going to add it onto this when so I only have to stop one more time to cut. There we go. Put that in here. All right. Cut this last bunch out. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to put my blue paper in here so I can see all my little pieces when I pull them out. I always like to keep a little dish off to the side when I'm doing stuff like this. Oh, and look, I forgot my owl. I'm rushing. That's my problem. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking with it. All right, let's pull this out. So I like to keep a little dish off to the side, and then I just, when I'm done with pulling my die cut pieces out, if they pop out like this, it's great. And then I would just toss that right into my little dish. And then I know where everything is later on when I'm cleaning up, and to put it all back in with the rest of the set. So just like that. And there's those little snowman arms that get lost. I'll pop the rest of this out. And you can see this tape is not sticking to any of this. I've got all those. I'm just need to find and die cut this guy, and I'm good to go. And we can start some assembly. All right. And there is our owl. Okay. So a little black gel pen for this. Let's make sure it works. I'm just going to write on here. And let it snow. If you have a stamp that'll fit in there, you can do that. But all you need is a little gel pen or a Sharpie, whatever works. And write your little sentiment on there like that. Now we're going to do a bit of assembly here. A couple of these things need to be put together. So the first thing we're going to do, so you'll notice there's a flat side and a rounder side. I opted to use the flat side as the bottom of my snowman because he's sitting on the ground, and I just envisioned that to be flattened. I'm just going to put a little bit of paint, how about glue on the back of this, and stick my snowman down just like that. And then I'm going to put his hat on. You could decorate his hat if you wanted. If you had some ribbon, you could put ribbon on his hat. Put his scarf on. And put his arms on. I had him with his arms up in the air. So just lay them out first before you glue them on, just so you've got, because they do go in different directions. So you might want to just check and see which way they're pointing before you glue them on. There's our one snowman. If you're doing both, one for the front, you don't have to do them exactly the same, but there's one done. And then this little guy here, the penguin, he's the guy that's going to go onto the sled. So we're going to glue him on. And he just barely sits on the edge of that sled like that. And then these glue onto his hands like this. Now, if you were going to You want to make sure they're touching down here because that's where they're supposed to be fastened in. If you were going to use twine, I would poke holes down in here where this little brown tidbit is, right there and there, and thread your twine or your embroidery floss through. When I did it previously, I just put some double-sided tape here and the twine or the embroidery floss will stick perfectly to it. And then you just loop it up and glue it into the hands and have it hanging down like he does here with the stamped version. Oh, throw my glue around. You don't need a ton of glue, just a little bit. I'm just gluing some right on the tips here. And we're just going to tuck them onto his hands like that. Oh, but we want it to stay. There we go. Just like that. So he is finished. All right, the only other thing to do as far as assembly is the owl onto the branch, but we're gonna, where's mine? So I put him really close. So you can see right in that little bare patch right there. So he's supposed to be sitting on top of the branch, so you don't want him down too low. Just put a little bit of glue on there. You can double-sided tape him if you choose. And you just want his feet fastened on because the rest of them, you're going to put the acetate behind him to hold him in place. So don't stress about that too much. Just going to move, get rid of the markers out of the way, clear up a bit more space here. Before we proceed, so once you have all your stuff colored, die cut, and any kind of assembly assembled, then we're going to start with, we're going to use, actually, you know what? I'm going to glue these on now so that I don't forget them in the end, but you can wait until the end because I didn't spend as much time coloring them as maybe you did because I'm on camera. But if you spend a lot of time coloring them, they will be quite wet. I know with the black ones that I did previously for the snowman buttons, they took quite a while to dry. So, but I'm going to do this just because I am on camera and I don't want to forget to show you guys how cute they look to entice you to do this with the pom-poms. So you can, oh, sorry, I'm trying to get focused here. I know it's not working very well, but it does. It just adds a little bit of dimension to your project. So they're not just flat. They're really cute with the pom-poms on them. All right, so now we are on to the acetate, and I am going to make do with the two pieces I have, and I'm going to cut one really short because it's going to go. So this guy is separate and he is separate. I did not glue him onto the ice flow. I did not. You can if you want to and fasten them all in at the same time, but I did want them to be able to move a little bit. So for the ice flow, you need a very short piece of acetate and then longer for the penguin and for the penguins and the others. Now, what I'm going to do is find my double-sided tape. I'm going to use narrow tape for this. And on the back side, hang on. So here's my ice flow. So down on the back side in this area, I'm going to put just a little piece because you don't want it any wider than your acetate. And then there it is. I cut a very small piece of acetate off one of my bigger sheets. Be careful not to make your double-sided tape wider than the acetate because it'll cause you some grief. It'll stick to other things. So make sure that your tape is shorter than your acetate. Now you can't see that, but there's a little piece of acetate on there. And now I'm going to take these other two big wide ones and I'm going to put the shorter one onto the back. And then we can trim these off to make them fit where you want them. But I'm going to put a little piece across here. Now, I like to come up about halfway up the body of these characters just to give them some stability, because that's the only thing that's going to hold them up is that piece of acetate. So if you put it too low, it might get too floppy. So about halfway up on the bodies, if you can. Add a little piece to this other one. And again, about halfway up. Like that. So you can see they're two different heights, but we can adjust them once we get everything in place. This one we're not going to do right away because I have to you have to make sure, well, we can, you know what? I'm talking to myself and we're going to put this one on here too. Sorry, guys. This one I'm going to run down the length rather than across the width of the acetate because it's the narrow piece and it's going to go down the length here and it's going to make it so that you can put it higher up to give it more stability. And then we're going to mount that on there. Don't push it down until you can actually see it and make sure that it's perpendicular to the piece of acetate. Otherwise, he's going to be like on a funky angle. Like that. And then the other narrow piece, same thing. Actually, I'm just going to put a little piece right across the top there. Like that, because this one's going to be really low, so I can't peel that off. There we go. So I am putting that up quite high on this one. Like that. Do it a little bit crooked, but that's okay. I can compensate a little bit for it. All right. So now you should have all your characters on your acetate. And your little ice flow. And then these two do not have acetate with them because we're going to glue them on the front. So take these, put them off to the side for the moment. And then what we're going to do is we are going to apply our parchment paper onto here. And that's where you are going to need the sticky dots. I just have to find mine on my messy table. There they are. So for those of you who may not have ever used sticky dots before, we have on the orange side or the yellow side of the paper, there are thousands of little tiny, tiny sticky dots, literally. Do not take your backing paper off completely, because if you put it back on the wrong way, you've wrecked your sheet. So for this particular project, all you need to do is put the yellow side down, and then on the back side, and is there a right and wrong side to this? One side is a little stronger, more bold than the other side. So if you don't get it right, don't sweat about it. It doesn't matter that much. You're not going to notice it that much. And what you want to do is just peel that edge back a little bit like that. And then you're just going to ever so slightly, actually, hang on, let me move up a little bit. You see that? You do not want a ton of these on, and you just need to come in maybe not even quite a quarter of an inch. Set that down. Put the backing down and just adhere it. And you can hear that sticky, and then do the same. And as you peel it off, you'll have to go in a little deeper and a little deeper, because you're going to pull all those stickies off. But you can see them. If you look in just the right light, you'll be able to see them. And then we're going to go around. I'm going to move off of here because I don't want to get the stickies all over my card base. You can see on the card or on the parchment, you won't be able to see it on camera, but I'm looking for where I left off, because you don't need that much to hold this parchment paper in place. Make sure I'm not redoing the same side again. And you're just going to work your way around the piece of parchment. And it's a bit of a sticky mess, but you can do it. I have faith. You don't even have to do from edge to edge if you don't want to. And then the trees are going to point towards your scored edge. And we're going to do our best to line this up nice and straight. You should have just a little bit of a border like that. And those sticky specks, you can't see them. And that's why we use the sticky specks, so that you cannot see through the parchment paper. If you use glue or you use double-sided tape, you'll be able to see it. But with the sticky specks, you can't see it. So this other piece here, this is your sky, essentially. So you're going to line your pieces up, and so this is the way it's going to go in here. You've got a division. If it isn't lining up, you're not even really going to see it. But some people might want to make sure that they have it lined up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the other end of the piece of my sticky specs, because I know it's new and it's complete. And then I can start again like that. Oh, I shifted that. we go. Same thing you did on the other side. We're going to line it up as best we can and lay that down. And now you have your card front and back. So just like that. And you've got that. All right. How's everybody doing? It is very cute, isn't it? Yes. You're going to love it when you finish it. Now, I am going to sneak out just for a moment because I forgot my inks, because I want to show you how to create this. So you're going to need just a scrap piece of paper. You can even, if you want, tear off a piece of your instructions. And I think somewhere in here I said that you needed a sheet of photocopy paper. So hopefully everybody has one. I'll be right back because I forgot mine out in the studio. So bear with me for a moment. You can have a peruse at the front of the card, and I'm going to show you how to do that ink. All right, I am back. Okay, now get my photocopy paper here. Okay, so all you want to do, if you've never done a technique like this for inking, and we're going to do this now because it's too hard to do it once you assemble the card. So if you're not going to do this to your card, that's fine. You can just sit back and watch for a few minutes. But all you want to do is take your piece of paper, and I want you to imagine your little hills. So you want to give, you know, whether you just want a little wee one and you want to just show that it's some ground. So you're going to, you know, you're going to do this very slightly. I did some very dramatic ones because it's a snow day and the kids are tobogganing. So all you're going to do is take your piece of paper and you're going to, oh, that was a little much, and you're just going to imagine what your hills might look like. So you're going to do that. Now you can move it. I don't particularly like how big of a drop that is. So I'm actually going to come in and I'm going to just work that a little bit more. There, I like that better. That's a little bit better. So now what we're going to do is on the back side of your sky. So on this one, and you're going to flip it over. So this will be your, sorry, turn it around for you. Your scored edge is the top of the front of the card. Okay, so that is your base on applying your hills with your ink. So the first thing you're going to do is we are going to color in just a nice background. Which color do I want to use here? Keep that one for that. You're going to use this one. All right. So all we're going to do is do a general overall inking before we even use. And it's snow. And it's okay to let some blank areas, because your background's blue, it's going to give you some more depth and texture and more color within it. So all you need is just a real general covering. And then we are going to, I'm going to use the same blending brush. But now I'm going to pick, I've picked a different blue, I like it. It's a little turquoisey. It just reminds me, like I said, about the using that blue on the ice floe. So it's just reminds me of, cold, frozen. And what I'm going to do is start at the top. I'm going to lay this out. And you're just going to hold it in place. And then all you're going to do is follow the torn line of the paper. That's all you're going to do. And then hold it all in place. You can peel it back and you can decide whether you want to do it a little darker. I'm going to lift this up for you so you can see. It's just going to create a hint in the background. Now you can turn your page sideways, and I'm going to come in at a bit of an angle like this. A little bit more ink on there. And then I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to do this one a little darker because it's going to be more in the foreground. So a little more defined maybe. And you can see. So this one, I did it much lighter and it looks like it's farther back. And this one's much darker because it's in the foreground. I could go in and do a few more, but I think I'm just going to leave it at that today and leave it like that. As I said, this is where I actually, on my actual card, I did a snowman and I put an extra sign up there. Now, one of the things you need to keep in mind when you are mounting your stuff on this card is that they are not going to go outside the dimensions of your finished card. So I would probably have to put my snowman over on this side and my sign here so that it doesn't, because this is actually going to be the outer edge of the card. Now on my card too, I took just a little bit of silver, glitter. Followed my snow lines with a little bit of glue and then added the glitter. You could use Winkles, Wink of Stella, anything like that. You don't have to do it. I always think of snow on a sunny day and it's sparkly. Sorry, I got a tickle in my throat. Okay, so that's it. Nice and simple. This technique can be used for so many different things. I've done sand dunes. You can do mountain ranges in the background. You can even do trees. If you tore your page and you did a whole bunch of jagged like this, into the background. And once you inked over that would, and if you had the patience and you did the whole thing, you could do a tree line in the background with that. But sand dunes, oceans, sunsets, so many cool things, clouds, that is a really great technique to learn how to do if you haven't done it before. If you have, it's just a little bit of a refresher for you. So now we're going to start the actual assembly of the card. So we're going to flip that back over again. And it goes this way, like this. So what you're going to do, and it doesn't matter which side you do it on, but you're going to put 1 or 2 strips, depending on the width of your double-sided tape. What do I have with me? I haven't got my super thick stuff, but I don't need it. I can do 2 of the smaller stuff. I'm just going to flip it over for now, but I'm going to do a double like this. So you can see I've done that on the inside of that. So if you stand it up, so it's in here where I'm putting the tape, just like that. And then I'm going to put a piece on this side too. I'm going to put this one down a little bit further. So again, so you'll see these are facing each other. So like that. Because now what we're going to do is we are going to figure out our placement for our little characters on the layout of the card. So I'm going to stick with my layout. You can lay it out however you please. And I am going to start with my shortest piece because I know I don't need to trim my acetate to make him sit where I want him. I'm going to make sure that he does not go outside of the confines of my card like this. So only peel one side, either work on this side or work on that side, but don't peel them both off at this point. I think I'm going to work on this side. So I'm just going to peel this off. And I'm actually going to flip mine upside down just because I find it easier to work with while it's lying flat, but I do need to remember, hang on, you can't quite see. So I peeled off on this one and I'm going to flip it this way because it's just easier for me. You can do it however you would like, but if you flip it like this, just remember all your pieces need to go on upside down. And your acetate, you do not want your acetate to go beyond your score line on your card. So if I pick that back up, you can see he's sitting there nice. I've got sticky dots on my board. So now I'm going to do my placement of my two penguins. So my skater needs to be on my ice floe. Oh, and look what I did. Don't do what I did. That's okay. I can save this. We've all been there, done that. Okay. I'll put another piece in here. Okay. So I need to place him. And I want him to be on the ice floe. So I need to make sure that wherever I put him, he is still on the ice floe. So I'm going to stick him down on there, and then I can trim that off after. So I can just come in with a pair of scissors. This is all going to be covered up, so it doesn't matter. So I've got him in place, and now I'm going to do my placement for my sledder. And you can see he's up higher. I do have the acetate on these ones running in front of the iceberg, the ice floe. And again, so I've got him placed, fold it over, and I'm going to trim that off like that. And he is good. And if you flip them forward like this, you will be able to see and make sure that they're not going outside any of your placements. What colors am I using? Tony, are you referring to the alcohol inks that I used? Makes the pop-up more easier to do. Ella, it is, and it's so cute. There's so many use this for your pop-ups. Velma, I'm glad to see you made it. Good. Sorry you missed the class last week, but we'll get you there. We'll get you caught up. All right.
I think he's talking about the blending ink, maybe.
Oh, the blending ink, is it? Thank you.
Probably.
Tony, yeah, Tony, if you can, if you're talking about the blending inks that I used for the background, I did use different ones than what I wrote down in the instructions initially. It is all Lisa Horton inks though. Today I used her matte blending Surfs Up and Tranquil Waters. So that's what I used today for the front blending of my card. All right, so now I'm gonna proceed. Actually, what I'm gonna do this right now so that I can get my other placement, I'm going to glue on my snowman. Hang on a moment. I'm having an issue with some double-sided tape that's decided to unwind all over my desk. Get that squared away and then I'm good to go again. All right. Okay, I am going to. So remember I said my snowman and his broom, I glued down to the front of this. So I'm going to take some of this, some of my glue here, and I'm gonna just put some glue on the back. I'll hold him in place, decide where I want him. Ooh. You can use double-sided tape for this too, and I probably should have. There we go. And a little bit of glue onto the back of the broom. And then I just like to line the broom up with his hand, make it look like he's holding on to it. And then this way, now you can figure out your placement for your sign. Now, if you see, I actually had this sign, I only fastened it at the top, and then I had it come down and sit right on that ledge there, just a little bit over it. So that's how I did my placement for that. I'm going to do that again. And I am sitting right on the border of my card. I'm actually going to put the handle of the broom behind that. So that's what I mean about making sure that you have not gone over your card, because you don't want your little pieces hanging out over the edges. And then I'm going to trim that off like that. And especially with this piece, because of the tree branch. Now he's going to come in. I'm going to go off camera just for a moment while I line this up here. I want to make sure he's straight, and I'm having a hard time seeing. There we go. I got him fastened in there. So you can see they're all, I didn't even have to trim him. He's the big long one. So they're all fastened in now, ready to go. Now you can take this off, unstick, take your backing off that tape. And the reason why you tape both, got some overlap and you lose a lot of the tape on this side because of the acetate. So you need to tape both sides. And then we're going to fasten those together. Line them up. Just like that. And then you have this cute little card with your front. Oh, see, and I did do, I'm out of bounds just a little bit, and it was it was this. And I can probably peel it off and re-stick it, but this is going to go for a sample in the store. It'll sit open most of the time, so I'm not going to sweat about it. But the acetate will make it so that you can peel off at this point. You can peel off your sign and shift it over on your acetate a little bit. And that's going to get it back in. So, but that's what I'm referring to. You want to make sure everything is lined up in there so that it doesn't hang out over the edges of your card. And that's it. The background colors. Tony, did you hear what they are the Lisa Horton matte finish inks. I'll say it one more time for you. So they were what did I say? It was Surf's Up and the Tranquil Waters. And those are her matte blending inks, Lisa Horton's. So that's what I used. And that's everything. And I hope to see everybody posting some of their pictures on our Facebook page. It's a fun card. I'm going to make some of these myself. I want to do some with some butterflies and flowers, do a little garden and have the butterflies flying above. I think that would be so cute. But just another way to do a dimensional card. I hope everybody had fun today and enjoy the rest of your day. And we'll see you guys next month. Bye now.